And I absolutely love it when video game corporations say they want to change the world for the better. But unfortunately, they clearly cannot change the gaming scene for the better, so I'm really terrified when they think they can mess about changing the world. Because it's not going to be for the better. I mean, look at this, right? Look, this is 1996 versus 2002. And the release price for both of these games were $50. Now, take into account that in 2002, you also have some inflation coming up, which $50 here is probably like 40 or 30 in 96 equivalent, right? But then you look at this garbage, and they're asking now $70 for their brilliant game, which they consider to be inclusive. Now, let's do some logic together. Like, it's really fun when you tell this to people on Twitter, and you will see the mental gymnastics that they try to justify it, okay? So, in the United States, unlike the rest of the world, you can vote without an ID. And there have been certain politicians which said, hey, like, let's ask people to show ID to vote. I mean, you need an ID to buy a gun, right? You need an ID to go buy booze. Why not to vote? And then the Democratic Party, in its infinite wisdom, is like, no, that would be racismus. That is racist. Because there are people who can't afford to buy an ID, right? Like, that is the logic that Americans are going with. And I checked it out, like, to have an ID is around $20, $30, depending on the state. I couldn't find one more expensive, right? But, like, basically, that's it. You know, like, minorities, according to the Democrat Party, cannot have the money to afford to have an ID. Therefore, you shouldn't have an ID to vote. That's their logic. Not mine. That's theirs. The Democrats. Progressive people. Forward thinking. So, if a person who's a minority cannot afford an ID, which is $20, how can they afford the game that's $70? That's not include. That is exclusionary. That is gatekeeping, is it not? I love going on Twitter and seeing people trying to defend this. It's like, oh, there's actually a lot of improvements that have gone here. A lot of improvement. Well, let's see. Just off of the top of my head, the new Resident Evil from 2002, it had better graphics and lighting. It had remastered OST. It had improved gameplay. It had new game modes. It had new enemies, new bosses, new locations, new mechanics, new puzzles, new items, new cutscenes, new voice acting, new script. Had a lot of it. And you know what? Like, this was actually requested. Like, I knew a lot of people who wanted this. I don't know. I guess we should look at the sales number. But I definitely think Resident Evil was more popular and more demanded. And you can see, like, the massive overhaul. Like, it's just staggering when you play the new one. I mean, compared to a game from 96, yeah. So it is what it is. You know, this is the absolute state of modern gaming. Like, first of all, I hate remakes and remasters. I just need to point that out. But secondly, it's like, look at the price. You know, like, more progressive, the more woke a company becomes, they need to charge more, I guess, for the army of diversity officer and all of the fat that comes with the company that also needs to take money. This game didn't have diversity officers, by the way. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.